All right, everybody. We've got another very special guest for y'all. Everybody, please welcome to the show, Tony James. Welcome,
Hey,
Tony.
what's up? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm
How
doing
you
good,
doing?
and I'm so glad to finally have you on. I've been wanting to reach out for a while because I'm a big fan of Star Noir.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
So
cool. Yeah, I'm glad you're digging it. Yeah, that's a really fun series to make. Yeah, I every new page that I get is pretty awesome to see.
that's one of those books that the second I saw it, I didn't. I think just the first cover from the first issue was
Yeah,
enough for me.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
the one that's right behind me there.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, because I knew right there. I'm like, okay, unless this book is one of those, the cover has nothing to do with what's going on.
yeah,
It's right
yeah,
up my alley.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We wanted the cover to be to match the interiors. So, but yeah, it's a really that it was kind of like the first idea for the cover,
yeah.
and yeah, we make new covers since then that I think are also pretty great. But there's nothing more grabby than that first one.
I always think it's. I mean, I would like to think this for Big Two comics too, but they don't do it. But
Hmm.
especially for indies, I firmly believe that the A cover should be the interior artist
Yeah, hmm,
and should really demonstrate what the book is right there on the cover. Let
yeah,
us judge your book by the cover.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I feel.
yeah, for
I was,
sure.
but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's I've never really liked covers that look different than the interiors. And for something like Star Noir, like I wanted people to know that this is the quality inside and out.
yeah, definitely. So before we jump too far into things, I do like to start off new guests, people first time on the show with their origin story. Basically, where did your love for comics, or like I said, pre-show lack thereof of comics, come from? And what point did you decide you want to start making these things?
My love for comics came from reading the trade for Death and Return of Superman. I went into that cold. It was like a gift that was given to me by my parents. And I just really loved the big scope of that story. I loved all the different iterations of Superman. I thought Superboy, the way that they drew him, he had like the coolest look with the leather jacket, the bottle shades. And I just really loved that feeling of like when you read a story and it's like this almost like get comfortable because it's going to be this big adventure that you're about to go on, and you're really going to deep dive into it for hours at a time. And I think that really kind of sparked me to want to make comics like that kind of have that big scope, that big story feel. And then you watch films that are by people like Christopher Nolan, or you play video games made by like Hideo Kojima, and they have these like big visions, and those really excited me as well. So I think between the Death and Return of Superman and watching the filmmakers and Hideo Kojima, I wanted to make my own comics, kind of with that same kind of big epic scope.
Jumping into video games real quick, because not a lot of people in this space seem to be into the video games as much.
Okay.
Uh, where did you? Where were you introduced to Hideo Kojima?
I There was a game called Snatcher. It was I think it's like the late '90s, but it was very almost like point and click. It was like Sega CD.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like very text based, very simple. But it was like this really cool cyberpunk thing that he did. And then I missed Metal Gear up until the fifth one, and I thought that was like one of the most impressive games that I'd ever seen. And then story wise, Death Stranding. I just thought that the world that he created in that was really imaginative, and just really incredible. I love that like I didn't really understand a lot of like the way the world worked, and I thought that was great because it allowed me to like ask questions and also try to like piece things together myself. So I really like his imagination. I really like that he can really goes for it, and he's not afraid to even a little bit alienate the audience because doesn't want to hold your hand with every little detail.
Yeah, I remember seeing a thing from him with Death Stranding 2 coming out where he was upset that it was so universally beloved.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you're such a crazy man. I love it. Did you
yeah.
ever read the book that he wrote a few years back?
No, I no. What's it called?
I I'm gonna forget the name of it, but it's a weird book. It's basically him going over his inspirations. Let's see if I can find it. And it's like a collection of essays. It's called The Creative Gene.
Okay.
And
Cruelty.
it's a very interesting book because it's almost like Kojima being uh, it's almost like him going and trying to be the journalist that he wanted to be at one point, and doing these like reviews and critiques of these things that inspired him and just he loves so much. It's a
Hmm.
very fascinating read.
Oh, I have to check it
If you
out.
never,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely read that
So
for sure.
you read all these things and you said, you know, I have these great stories and I want to do something like that, and that's really what got you into it. Was Star Noir the first story that really popped for you?
Well, the one that popped over like 10K, yeah. The first one I did was a book. It was a cyberpunk comic. It was basically a virtual reality revenge story. Talking about my love for video games, that comic, it's called Reloader. That is a love letter to video games. I just thought about like, what if we did sort of like The Matrix meets Kill Bill, like a gamer loses their avatar because of a hacker that kind of stripped it away from them. And rather than just like, oh, they go find you in the real world to get their revenge, it's like, what if it all took place like in this virtual reality setting? So we did some very like, we did a first book, I think it was like 2016, 2017. And that was really modest. I think that raised only like 2K. And not only did people really like it, but I mean, it also taught me a lot about Kickstarter,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of putting it together a proper team and how to run campaigns and how to stay in communication with backers. I also like I took a long time to make that book, which also kind of taught me like, hey, you can't take forever to make these books. So there was like a lot of growing pains that came with that on top of making that book, and all of those lessons I put into Star Noir, and I think that's kind of a huge reason that Star Noir did so well is because I made a bunch of mistakes running the campaign for Reloader. And it, honestly, it was just, you just don't know what you don't know. Like it was
Yep.
just, if somebody in the future was like, "Hey, this is how you run a Kickstarter," I would have done every single one of those things. But yeah, I learned, I figured it out, and yeah, now I communicate with backers every 2 weeks. We have a timetable for production. I have a really strong team that's properly vetted. So none of the issues that arise in Reloader have come up in Star Noir or even Moonshine, my new book.
Was there any worry coming out of Reloader with such a big time gap in between two books of trying it again, or did you feel like it was I got to do this again and I know
Yeah,
all these things now and it doesn't matter how long it's been, I just got to jump back in, kind of reset the clock?
yeah, I mean, especially with like backer trust, I felt like I was starting at the bottom again, and it felt fair because I just thought that like, oh, you gave me the money to go make the book, I'm gonna go away, I'm not gonna bother you with details until like it's mailed to you, and that's not what they want. They want to be caught, constantly in the loop. So kind of making those mistakes, and still like a number of the people that backed the book, like after all that time, they still wanted the book, which was really surprising. But Yeah, no, yeah, there was a lot of lessons to learn from that, and yeah, it just yeah, you just make mistakes and you just get better at making a crowdfunding,
Now, we glazed Star Noir a little bit already. I mean, do you want to give the quick synopsis of what that book's about in case anyone hasn't paid attention to me talking about it in the show?
Yeah, that's like L.A. Confidential meets the X-Files. It's about this 1940s detective that teams up with a gray alien to stop a shapeshifter who's killing LAPD officers in Central Station. And while this homicide detective is working with this gray alien to figure out which one of their fellow detectives is an alien, more cops are getting picked off one by one. So it's a 6-part murder mystery. We're almost done with the third book in that series. The last campaign raised over 16K. So it's a very popular series. People can't get enough of it. When I go to conventions, it's my best selling book. So yeah, just having a lot of fun making that one.
Oh yeah, like we said at the top, just that cover for the first issue is such a it's it's one of those covers that sticks with you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. There it is right
did
there.
you have the idea for it
Yeah,
yourself, or was that something the artist came to you with, and you're like, "Holy shit"?
no, I had the idea. It was I wanted to recreate movie posters from 1940s. And that was that there was I can't remember the name of the film, but there was something that looked a little bit like this. And I think I kind of like, oh, what if there's like the car in the background, and then the artist kind of was like, well, what if there was like a blood trail leading up to them? And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so it started with this kind of initial idea of like what I'd like it to look like, and then it was just sort of a collaborative effort to get to that final version that you see.
And one of the things I've always found interesting about your campaigns, and this is something I've talked less about recently, but it is something to be talked about on Kickstarter, is with growing prices on with printing and what creators are doing on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
I notice yours stay at a fairly steady price. And while the introductory price may be a little bit high for people,
Yeah.
the thing I love about it with you is I'm not getting 22 pages for that price. I'm getting usually 64 if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. So they're always around 50 or so pages. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what goes into that decision for you?
There's a myriad of reasons. There's not only just other campaigns that either have a comparable quality of art and number of pages. There's also a number of backers that those successful campaigns have. Because I knew that with Star Noir Book One, I was like, okay, I need about 200 backers. I need to do 10K because that's what the book costs just to have it exist. Like that doesn't even get into like shipping it to people. Um, so there was a lot of like research into just the kind of Kickstarter market, what people were charging, and then just kind of just doing some looking at my own overhead of what does it take to make one single page, from the printer quote to the entire art team to kind of make that one page. And then just the first Star Noir campaign, I intentionally ran it for 45 days so that I could make micro tweaks to the price points. It was like I think it was pretty good. There was a couple of higher things where I had to like lower it by $5. But yeah, it's all kind of based on a myriad of different avenues.
I I've written about it on my Substack with this, but I love it because while I see other creators raising prices, and I'm not trying to judge other creators in this, I understand markets and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but while I see that happening, I see yours staying pretty steady with, and you're pretty steady with everybody else, but give me way more comic for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder why more people haven't gone down that route. I'm sure we can come up with a myriad of reasons, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I just always wonder about that. Like, Kickstarter is a place for books to be brought to, for many different things, be brought to life. But in terms of comics or books to be brought to life,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing, I always have a hard time paying $20 for 22 pages. Is what I'm getting down to.
Yeah. Sure. No, I mean, if my books were half the length, my prices would just be lower. That's just the end. That's just the matter
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, a lot of it just has to come, well, with the number of pages that are there, and then also, there's sort of this high stakes poker that I play with the backers, where it's like, okay, if I've convinced you to pay my price point, I can't. I can't half-ass this book. Like
Yes.
it can't even just be like kind of good. Like it has to be so undeniably good that you're like very excited for the next one, because it's like if it doesn't meet your expectations, then it's going to be harder to justify the price point going forward.
Mhm.
So every time we do a new book, we put everything that we possibly can to just give you the best possible chance of having the reader come back. So that's why there's so much packed into each Star Noir book.
And I saw this in the past a lot where creators would go to Kickstarter, get their funding, and then flip over to Indiegogo to maybe get a little bit extra from that crowd as well,
Mm-hmm.
or see if they could turn that almost into a online store, whatever they're doing there.
Yeah.
You're one of the few creators I still see doing that.
Yeah.
Does that see success for you still?
Well, I actually recently stopped doing it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was doing it for a bit. The reason I did it with Star Noir is because the campaign closed. Kickstarter didn't have late pledges at the time, and then I was getting a bunch of emails from people saying like, "Oh, I missed it. Like, how can I get it?" And I was just like doing the production math, and I was like, "Oh, by the next time you can kind of jump in on this, it'll be a while." So the next file option seemed to be just go to Indiegogo, because I'd seen other creators do it. And you're like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's still above board. People do this, so why not? And I had a lot of success doing that. So much so that we did it with the second book as well. But now that Kickstarter has late pledges, you don't really have to do that anymore. Do that so much anymore. So it was more of like convenience of the time. And just like what was being asked of me from my own potential readers, but now with late pledges, we can just stay on Kickstarter.
That's great. I could have swore I saw book 3 on there, but I must have saw an older
Oh
one
yeah,
there
yeah,
too.
that one was like a real short one.
Yeah.
I was in and out, and like even that last one, I was just like, it's because you have to like build two campaigns for two
Mhm.
different websites, and like all of the graphics are not sized properly. It's like it became such a headache that when like Kickstarter was like, we're doing late pledges, you're like, thank God. Like I'm so good at just staying at one spot. I don't want to jump around like that.
Yeah, it's always nice to have just one spot to go to
Yeah, yeah,
and
this
just
it's
build it on.
way more convenient for sure.
So with the implementation of late pledges, have you seen a lot of people coming in after the campaign's over and jumping on
Yeah.
board? Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I go like on a stream or something, and I even mention Star Noir like offhand, like I'll notice that people will go and like they'll get a catch up tier or they get like a digital copy tier or something like that. I think I've since my campaign closed, I think it raised like an extra like 3-4K, just like in just kind of in just seeing people at a convention or being on a stream or something, and it's just great for people to just jump in at any time. So yeah, I'm very grateful that Kickstarter implemented that. It was the one thing that actually Indiegogo had over Kickstarter for a while, where I
Yeah.
didn't really understand why they didn't implement that because it made so much sense. But yeah, great. Now that Kickstarter has them, yeah, I definitely do benefit for sure.
Yeah, I've been loving all the changes Kickstarter's been making to make it
Yeah,
more friendly on both sides, really. As a
yeah,
consumer, I find it more friendly too.
yeah. Hmm.
So, what do you see as the future for Star Noir? You said it's going to be 6 issues.
Hmm.
Um, is that really it for you? Like, you want to you have this story you want to tell of it, and then you want to move on to the next thing with it, or
No, this one, there are a few different iterations I like to do with it. There is a New York companion one that takes place in the 1800s. And it just really kind of do it. The Star Noir, this one is, 1940s Los Angeles, really plays up that history. This New York one, it really plays up the history of New York City, which is where I live. So we kind of see a lot of speakeasies and old subway stations. So if you if you like something like The Warriors or something that just really
Mhm.
explores like a bygone era of New York City, I think you really get a kick out of that one. And then I've also been talking to a bunch of creators about doing an anthology that's set in Star Noir, like not really set in this world of Star Noir, but just like take a human detective, take an alien, put them in a time period, and just do like a 7-page story, and just gathering a bunch of creators to do something like that. So yeah, there's a bunch of other different stories I like to do. I think there's also other precincts in Los Angeles in 1940s Los Angeles. So I think there's still plenty more story to be told. There's a very solid plan for this murder mystery right now.
I like the idea of an anthology book.
Yeah,
Yeah, jumping around that sounds really cool.
yeah,
Yeah. So you're doing this book, and you said you're working on book 3. I see the updates. You guys are pretty close to being done with it,
yeah,
and you decided while that's going on, hey, let's start a new campaign with a different series, a new book, a new
yeah,
number one, if you will.
yeah.
And that's what we're really here to talk about, which is Moonshine.
Moonshine, yeah.
Um, I think the best way to start this is once again with kind of synopsis. What's Moonshine about, and
Yeah.
what people expect?
Yeah, this is like Tombstone meets Aliens. It's a western set on the moon. It's about this retired outlaw who recruits his former posse to ride to the far side of the moon to repair this reactor that is harvesting helium-3, which is an energy source that they take from the moon. It's created by the solar winds that keep pummeling the moon over billions of years. And Yeah, there's a bunch of other rival gangs that get in their way. There's moonquakes. There's aliens that come out of the ground. They're riding robot horses that are designed after the Boston Dynamics robots. And I in the way that Star Noir is like a love letter to 1940s films and in all those pulp novels. I uh, Moonshine is a real love letter to westerns like The Wild Bunch and Tombstone and Red Dead Redemption, and even from like a dialogue standpoint, like Deadwood or The Hateful Eight. These are things that every time I watch one of these things, I just go, why isn't this on the moon? This would be so cool if we could do this on the moon. I'd be really interested in that. So yeah, here we are, doing a Kickstarter for a brand new series, and it's really the only other series that I'd like to make at the moment. I think between this one and Star Noir, I think my hands are plenty full for some time.
Yeah, and that offers you the chance to finish both of them as well.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people get too much into like a new book every month or something like
Oh
that, and
yeah,
it's like, okay, I want you to finish this series. That's the one I want.
yeah. No, I just wanted to make one other series. That was kind of after. I think after the second Star Noir book was well received, and then definitely after the third Kickstarter did so well for the third book, I was like, I have a small window here to launch a second series, so that we can just go back and forth between each series on trade off on campaigns.
Yeah, it's definitely great. It's funny when I was writing about Moonshine for my crowdfunding spotlight. I always feel like I'm working through thoughts when I'm writing something, especially
Yeah.
for Substack. And one of the thoughts I was writing through was this idea in my head that I'm not a Western guy.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there thinking at this desk right here, and I'm talking, to myself because I'm insane. And I'm like, well, you like The Mandalorian, and you like Red Dead Redemption, and Tombstone's a great movie, and you're going through all these things. I'm like, oh shit, I do like Western,
Is that
but
Western?
I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, myself included, get caught up in the old, like the John Wayne Western. That's what you
Right.
think about when you're thinking Westerns. And not to say I don't like those; they're just not something I'm sitting down to watch really today.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and you think so much that's going on. And Deadwood's one of those shows I really need to get in, like to check out.
Yeah. It's a great
I
show.
yeah,
Yeah.
and but for me, what always sucks me in is science fiction.
hmm
So anything sci-fi. That's why I love detective stuff and I love sci-fi. That's why Star Noir is such a perfect fit for someone like me.
Yeah.
And when I saw you doing it, and usually with me, it's creator focused. Like I'll check out stuff that creators I know and trust are doing. And hey, if book one doesn't work for me, that's fine. You move on to the next one.
hmm
But with this, when I'm going through it, you're doing a science fiction
Yeah.
Western. And that's
Yeah.
really what clicked with me.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's this what's this, like this Hollywood phrase of when something's successful and you want to kind of do something else, it's same but different. That's the way they kind of. So it's like, okay, so I did a mixed genre thing where one of the genres was sci-fi. What's another thing that I'm really passionate about that I could kind of, and it was like, oh, you love westerns, so you also love sci-fi, so that would be like a really fun pairing, and it presents the same challenge that Star Noir has: is how do we bring the sci-fi into this Western story, but don't let the sci-fi just dominate the Western genre and just sort of just push it off to the side. It's like it still feels very much like a Western. It's just framed through this sci-fi lens.
And it's great because I'm sure as a creator, you sit back and you think like, do I really want to do another sci-fi thing? Because,
Yeah.
then I'm the sci-fi guy, but you couldn't have picked two completely different science fiction tropes
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
at all. And was that intentional, or that just kind of come about with the idea of, I want to do this Western and this is the best way to do it?
No, it was like I don't want to do something that's atypical. Like I don't think there was any scenario where it would just be a Western where it's just what you expect, like a Tombstone knockoff or something.
Mhm.
And yeah, putting it on the moon. Once I started to think about that, a lot of ideas started flowing about like what would it be like in terms of believability to really sell a reader uh, that you could live on the moon, and what does that society look like? What does that culture look like? What do those spacesuits look like? How does a cowboy hat work on a spacesuit in the future? We created a thing where you like pull the hat down at like a medieval battle visor, so it becomes like this futuristic bandit mask, and then when you flip it back up, it's like this cowboy hat again. So just little things like that, just trying to take a lot of the Western tropes and just really bake it into this lunar setting. So yeah, it still feels like a Western, but it's just got this sci-fi coat on it. and it wears it comfortably. It's not something that is crammed into it.
Do you just have so much fun walking around your neighborhood thinking like, how am I going to solve these problems in this world? Like,
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
walking your dog or something. Oh shit, man! Like if it flips down, then it becomes it's amazing.
Yeah, that's I call those aha moments. They're like run out of the room moments. They're just
Mhm.
one of those things where it's like that'd be cool if they did this, but what if it flips down and you're like, yo, because you're almost at that point like excited like a fan. Like you're just
Yeah,
like, well, no, just take me out of it for a second. If I watch somebody else do that, like I would have to give them flowers for that because that's really cool.
yeah.
So whenever I have a moment, it's the same thing with like putting the alien in the fedora, and you're like, okay, this really works. I really like this. I want to keep exploring whatever this is. So yeah, I take a lot of walks every single day, and it's just constantly like just ideas, like scattered images that I then have to or organize and find something coherent out of it.
For me, it's when I'm driving. I feel like I
Mhm.
need to buy like a tape recorder to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
put my insanity on tape when I'm driving around. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. This
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
uh,
So
and I found it interesting with this. I should have asked about your collaborators starting Noir because I think it's important to talk about our collaborators. But
yeah.
uh, with this, you have a new art team that you're working with, and what I find interesting is how not only how different it is from Star Noir, but also how perfect the pages you have here on the Kickstarter page are so perfect for the kind of story you're telling.
Mhm.
How did you come across the artist here?
The artist Luke Horseman, who draws Judge Dredd for 2000 AD, he was actually liking a bunch of my Star Noir posts on Instagram. When I was looking for artists for this Western, his art style just I couldn't stop looking at it. I would look at it, I would go away, and I go, "What about that one guy's art style?" Like, and I would go look at more stuff, and I reached out to him. He was like, "I love westerns. Like, I'd love to do." And also, his last name is Horseman, so like, it's kind of fitting to do a western, and your artist is named Luke Horseman. And then once he started, drawing some concept art, it just you really saw the full vision. Like it was like, no, this is what a lunar western looks like in the future. Like this is perfect. And the idea about the cowboy hat becoming a face shield, that was like really an abstract idea that I had. And Luke was able to draw it in a way that like seemed very believable. Like it didn't seem like a clunky idea in execution. It really seemed really natural. Yeah, so he's been great to work with. He has such a great interpretation of the script. Yeah. What more can I say about Luke? Gonzalo Ruggieri, he's the colorist. He's done some image covers. He's done some covers for a Kickstarter comic called Lamp Black, which has got like a Studio Ghibli vibe. And his coloring style. What really drew me to him was it's almost like this very like intentionally messy style. It's really hard to describe. At quick glance, it seems unfinished, but when you kind of like examine it, like the methodology behind it, you see that there's like a clear like method to the madness of why he does what he does. And I just think together, yeah, it's just a really really good look for a western.
Mhm.
It's kind of got a lot of grit to it. And yeah, I think they really knocked it out of the park. I'm very grateful to be working with these guys.
Yeah, I think the art style is so fitting for the type of story you're telling, the book you're making here, and the way he designs all the characters just from these couple of pages, and the town they go into, and the horse, everything, all the design work here is so great for the book.
Yeah.
But what really pops out for me is the color for
Oh
it,
yeah.
because as we said a million times, you're on the moon, so there's no atmosphere here. So
Hmm.
it almost looks like you have a lot of negative space because there's a lot of black in
Yeah.
the book. But I'm sure that's intentional because, like I said, we're on the moon.
Yeah.
But it also fits to contrast the way he colors everything else, which
Yeah.
almost gives it a neon coloring scheme to it, which
Yeah.
really just jumps off at least my computer screen. I'm hoping the page when it
Yeah.
finally funds.
Yeah.
Was that something that you really wanted, or is that something he came to you with and said, "I have this idea, let's try this"?
I think it was kind of a combination. It's like I had like kind of the abstract idea of what I wanted to look like. I knew that I didn't want it to be a series of gray tones. There was a picture that somebody posted on Instagram. It was like they took a high res image of the moon, and you could see color. Like you could see that there were like blues and reds on the surface. Like it wasn't just, just this what we kind of typically expect is of gray, a series of gray dirt. So I thought that was kind of a great jumping off point to how we can add some color into this, and also the way that we tell the story. It actually gets brighter as the journey to the far side continues. Each book is told in lunar phases, so the light is always catching up to them. So the lighting that you see now in these Kickstarter pages is actually a lower light. It actually, once the sunlight hits the characters, the book actually gets brighter as the sunlight hits their side of the moon. And also, we also do a lunar eclipse at one point in the story, where the entire color palette becomes different shades of red to kind of highlight the death that's lurking, in that chapter. So yeah, there's a lot of play with the light, the sunlight, and I think it'll create a very interesting kind of visual dynamic.
Yeah, that sounds awesome,
Yeah,
and like it would be so much work to keep track of that would probably drive me insane. So I'm glad you're doing it, not me.
yeah,
So for let's go through for rewards real quick. I mean,
yeah.
people like we said with Star Noir, 54-page perfect bound book. If you get the physical edition, you are doing a digital
Yes,
version,
sir. Yes,
correct?
sir. Yep.
What else could people pick up alongside just the book?
We actually just recently dropped this Akira style print that we're doing as a variant cover. Um, it's funny. I had set it up as just to do like as a small print to kind of slip in with the comic, and then like a poster if whoever happened to want that. And I kept getting messages from people going like, "Why isn't this a variant cover?" And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Let's make let's make it a variant cover." So we did that, and then that tier has just really kind of popped off like in the last couple of days. Like it's a recent addition. So that one's called Dueling Pistols. If you want to get both that Akira style cover variant and the lunar cover. Um, yeah, those are the kind of like the main big ones. I mean, we do all the stuff that we did with Star Noir. Like there's a sticker pack. There's just prints, postcard prints from the that are panels from the book. But yeah, I think just like Star Noir, like the main attraction, the star attraction is the book, is the story, and that's really kind of how I want it to be. Is like it. I want you to love the book and have a great time with the book, so that you come back to like want to read another installment. Hopefully you love it.
Definitely, and I've seen you do this. I've seen a lot of people do this, but I you've had it in a bunch of your books that I followed. Has anyone jumped on the to be drawn into the issue?
Yeah, we just did with Star Noir. We did four backers had to be drawn into that book. So in the third book, there are four characters that are actually backers who sent me photos of themselves to be in that book. So we did it again. We'll as of this recording, there's still two spots left of the four that we did for Moonshine. It was something that was suggested. I thought it was going to be throwaway. I didn't think that anybody was like, I thought most people would just care about the book. But I was very surprised with the Star Noir campaign that people were like, nope, I'd like to pay hundreds of dollars to be like drawn in the book. And you're like, cool, we'll take it. Very, very grateful for that. So yeah, we did it again with Moonshine.
I've never actually paid to be drawn into a book, but I will say it's so much fun to get a comic that you're reading and you're
Yeah.
drawn into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's cool.
I've had that happen a few times. It and the Akira cover, I remember when you posted about it. It's such a great image. Who did that?
Also Luke. He also
Oh,
who draws the Moonshine book as well. Yeah, it was I was talking to another artist at a convention, and he was like suggesting like, oh, you got to do like one pop culture print with your characters, just sort of insert them. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. Like, and then I thought, well, we got to do Akira because he's got the horse, his cowboy. Like, it's. I tried to think of anything other than the Akira thing, and it always seemed to come back to we got to do the Akira, the Akira poster. So, yeah, it looks great. It looks awesome. I can't wait to hang it up on my wall. Yeah, so yeah, we did that. It's a variant cover. It's great. It's awesome.
Definitely. And have you? I see you have some stretch goals set up here.
Yeah.
I know we're as this is launching, we're on the last day of the campaign, and I know you're kind of in that mode of last couple days stress.
Yeah.
Have you put any thought into hopefully hitting some of these stretch goals, or how's your mood kind
Yeah,
of going into it?
it's sort of funny with Star Noir. Like it's so funny that there's such parallels between Star Noir book one and that campaign and this one, where it's like you almost do stretch goals for those first books as to like cover your base thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like you thought about them. You know, you listed them as to what you'd like to do. But you're really just more into just like, well, let's just get it funded. And you know, it's like if anything, if we overfund, great. Like I have plans for stretch goals for that. But yeah, it's the first books. It always feels like it's just a cover your bases sort of move, because it I don't know, it feels like the first book has got the sort of growing pains of like pushing it up the boulder up the hill. There's almost this feeling of like, looks good, but is it though? And then you have to like wait until people get the book, they read it, and they're like, oh, it is actually good, and then they'll maybe want to kind of fund it faster so that we can work on actual stretch goals.
I definitely. And what's your philosophy with you're doing the after the campaign funding as well? What's your
Yeah.
philosophy with that? If you hit stretch goals at that point, are you gonna do them,
Oh
or
yeah.
is stretch goals just for the campaign?
No, we'll hit those. Yeah, if we hit those, I'll definitely do updates and say, hey, we crossed this milestone. The first one's like a glow in the dark, like alien sticker creep that comes out of the ground. So yeah, if after the campaign's over, we hit our stretch goals, yeah, definitely do that, for sure.
Awesome. So we will definitely circle back around the moonshine, but there were a couple other things as I was looking you up
Oh
earlier
boy,
today that I need answers about.
oh boy, here we go.
Let's start with I am Mustachio.
Oh god, okay.
What is this craziness and why is it the greatest thing on Instagram?
That was really just me trying to diversify the types of stories that I tell. I love telling comic books in their just traditional format, but I was also really fascinated by like Instagram comics that they're making, because
Mhm.
one of the stories I really liked growing up when I was a real young kid was just getting those like little horizontal trades of Garfield. And I just really like those kind of the dry humor. There's so much character in just 4 panels. So I wanted to make a comic like that. And when I looked at other comics that were doing that, it was a lot of like self-deprecating creators just making fun of their own kind of anxieties and they're just the kind of little quirks that they have. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that's a good way to sort of like make fun of myself and all the little concerns that I have about art and making stuff and my relationship with my cat and trying not to be distracted and just make that as like a funny little comic. And it was just like, all right, well, Mustachio, all right, he's a giant pistachio with a mustache, and then we'll give the cat a mustache, and like we'll have my girlfriend in there, and she's Ms. Stachio, like Miss Pac-Man, but she's just got a bow on her head, and she also has a mustache. So yeah, we just play up the kind of the self-deprecation, and all of it's just honest. A lot of it is just kind of like me making fun of myself, and just kind of various fears that I have as a creator. It's a comic that I would really love to get back to. I think with all my other creative endeavors, I think that one's I've been pulled the farthest from. But there, I have a draft folder of just constant like more bits that I could definitely do, and fire off. And the artist who made those, like, we still keep in touch. And he's like, "Do you want to make another one? Like, I'm ready to make some more Moonshine." He actually he made a version of the Star Noir cover, but with Mustachio and the cat, like
Yeah.
as like doing the same pose. So that was really funny. I should definitely add that as like an add-on or a stretch goal at some point. Um, but yeah,
I was
it's
gonna ask like merch of especially that image for like
yeah,
Star Noir, but some of these images I look at and I'm like, I could see rocking a t-shirt of one of these.
yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a series that I really enjoyed making. I'd love to get back to it just as soon as as soon as I find the time. I'll definitely squeeze that in there.
And it's funny when I discovered I was reading through them and they're all just a ton of fun. The image, the art really sells it too. The way the artist you're working with here
Mhm.
draws everything, but
Yeah.
it's the little things for me, and the fact that they had to spell out how to pronounce mustachio.
Yeah.
I mean, was that you, or is
Yeah.
that something Instagram does?
No, that's I did that myself.
Okay.
It's like you see it sometimes where people spell out how to pronounce names and stuff. I don't. I just thought it was like a silly little thing to do.
It definitely made me laugh quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then another endeavor that I know you've taken a break from, but hopefully are going back to, is your YouTube channel, where
Yeah.
you're
The
doing a
yeah
bunch of
the
stuff there.
the rightist. Yeah. That goes back to my love of video games. And my love of just storytelling, and it was a good merger to do story analysis and story structure analysis on video games, because I think like in the last, I don't know, I want to say 10 years, video game narratives have become a lot better. They're a lot more cinematic. They do follow more of a Hollywood structure, and I thought, it's a great time to kind of analyze what they're doing right. Where there's some missteps, the miscues. The I did a video about The Last of Us Part Two that did very very well. I think it's still the best video on that channel so far. Where it was just like, okay, I don't want to be another one of those videos that's just like ragging on the game and they didn't do that. I just like, let's talk about one scene, the Joel death scene, and let's just kind of break down like what kind of drew the ire, because it's not so much, it's not just a purely subjective thing of like I don't like it. Stories take risks all the time that somebody may not personally like, but then they objectively understand why that had to happen. So I wanted to kind of take an objective deep dive into like, okay, what does it do right? What does the scene do right? Where did it kind of like fall short? And like, what are kind of like my pitches of small fixes that it could have made while it's still it's still the original vision of the creator, but these little kind of things that I think would have drawn less ire, from the people who didn't like that game. It caused it caused a huge discussion. Every time I get a new comment from YouTube, it's like a paragraph like that big, and I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna throw that into ChatGPT, have that summarize it for me. I'm not reading all that. There's just too much going on. Um, I really enjoy making videos like that. That's another one, just like Mustachio, where I just have this draft folder just full of more things. I want to analyze Red Dead Redemption. There are like puzzle games that I want to, explore kind of the narrative aspect of it. Something like Portal or the Talos Principle, which is about like AI becoming self-aware, and you're doing it through, these spatial awareness puzzles. There's one that's called like Unpacking. That's like it's trying to tell a story through like every stage of somebody's life, every new house, every new dorm that you go to. Like that tells a story, and I really want to like explore more about like video games and storytelling. And yeah, it's a really good creative outlet for me. Just another one where I'm like I'm a little pulled away by my comics at the moment, but if I could just sort of like step away, maybe like trade Twitter for YouTube, I think I could probably have more time for the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and it's probably a wise life decision too,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
social media being as crazy as it is.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Right on. Yeah.
Um, I guess a little way to wrap it up. Like you said, you're a step away from Twitter and everything. How are you these days with everything social media wise, and just the way the craziness of the internet is? How are you finding ways to promote your work and get it out there to people? What's been your best
Um,
practice so far?
a lot, a lot of promotion outside of Twitter. I think that's been. It's just something about social media that's just in general not great for my mental health. But there's something about Twitter that's just like a sort of like it just poisons me. Like it's just like, oh man, it's like there's so many joys in my life that it just like Twitter always kind of seems like the black cloud, and it's just like just I kind of I try as much as possible, just try to stay out of a lot of it. I think promoting outside, I do TikTok, I do get backers from my YouTube channel. Reddit also helps, on top of, the mailing list that every creator has. Just trying to kind of build yourself up on every other platform that's not Twitter.
Speaking of the mailing list, like how is that going? Like, what are you talking about on there?
Well, I don't really do a lot of things that are not promotion. They're really just kind of like I'm either gonna do a campaign, or the campaign's over, or production's almost done. Sometimes people kind of jump off the mailing list for a second. I just want to let them know, hey, your books are in the mail. So in case you're not following the Kickstarter. So it really is just more about keeping backers up to date. I don't do like a Substack traditional thing, which I like the idea of subs. I like reading other people's Substacks. Those
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy the most. Me writing one, I was like, I don't have the time to do another Mustachio comic. Like if I had the time and I had to decide between a Substack or another Mustachio comic, I'd probably make the Mustachio comic.
That'd be a wise decision.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Well,
Hmm.
man, you've got all this great stuff going on, and hopefully you can find more time to do more of it, because I've just been a big fan over the past few years of what you've been doing.
Oh, awesome! Really
Um,
appreciate that.
Kind of circle back around to why we're here, everybody. Moonshine book number 1 is on Kickstarter right now. Yes, it
Yeah,
is the last day of the campaign, but I'm assuming you're doing late pledges for it, so people will be able
yeah,
to back it for weeks to come.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, I guess anything else you want to say about the book or to the people out there
Um,
before we take off?
if you love all of the attention to detail and character development that Star Noir has, we do the exact same thing with Moonshine. The entire production of Moonshine has been looking at Star Noir, going like, okay, this has to be as good or better, and that's caused a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress. But yeah, I think if you give it a chance, especially if you've already read Star Noir, you're going to get a really great Western that tries to do all of the things that Star Noir does.
And I know we just talked a little bit about getting off social media, but is there anywhere you want to send people to follow you further,
Uh,
outside of Kickstarter?
yeah, Banana Bat on Instagram. Yeah, that's where you can most usually find me. I would promote the Twitter, but I think I've just told my partner, I was just like, I think I'm gonna start going on streams, and like I don't want to promote the Twitter anymore. Like I just kind of like I'm gonna slowly pull away from it. So yeah, Instagram is where you can find me at Banana Bat.
Like I said, probably a wise decision.
Yeah,
And to everybody out there, if you look in the show notes down below, there will be a link to most importantly, the Kickstarter page, but also the Tony here's MailChimp
Mhm.
and all of his social media. So if you want to see him not doing anything on Twitter, I've got his Twitter account right there for you. But definitely check out the Instagram and the YouTube and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tony, it's been a pleasure meeting you, man. And just
yeah.
like I
Yeah,
said,
thanks
been a
for.
big fan, and just keep everything up, man.
Yeah, yeah. We'll keep working. Thank you for having me on the show.